We are insanely close to Halloween, and originally I was not in the mood for a specific Halloween doll this year because I thought you have all the Sandman videos, that should be enough. But then I watched, I think it's Outside Extra, maybe it's Outside Xbox. It is this Fear Academy thing where they force Ellen to play games that are horror related, and she is a completely nervous person, and it is so funny to watch her play games that are scary, and she is making so cute noises all the time. I really like to watch these videos. I do like Ellen all the time, but her high pitched squeaky noises are so cute. So cute. I watched Ellen play Poppy Playtime, which was especially funny for me because I played it, I think, a month earlier. With that, all the scares were very embedded in my head, and watching her play it and knowing exactly when I have to look because she will squeak. It was great. And then I was like, why wasn't I thinking about making my own version of Poppy? Because she already is a doll in the first place, and I think she is inspired by the Pulip dolls.
I'm sorry. Not Pulip, it was the Blythe doll I was thinking about. Sorry, but I inserted the right picture.
Because she has this insanely big head, insert eyes and stuff like that. And I am quite convinced if I would own a Pulip doll, she would be perfect as the base. But because I don't have one, I try to find something as an alternative. So, let's start.
My very first idea was to use this rainbow high doll and just puff out the cheeks because the rest of the face mold was quite nice. But I decided against her because I think she is too cute. And I have this boxy dolls laying around, and I don't really like their faces, so the body will do. And I added this Guliope head to the mix that I had laying around. I tried to repaint it once, wasn't happy about the look, because, first I shrank her and then I repainted her, and that made her skin look grainy, and I decided it was time that this girl gets a makeover. So I tried to remove the stuff I attached to her, and it's nice to know that the stuff I attached back then is on insanely firm, but that made it quite difficult to remove it. With her hair removed, it was finally time for some acetone, and oh boy, it was tricky. But again, let me tell you, I'm happy that MSC makes the faces stick on forever. It took me quite a while to get rid of her face paint. When she was finally clean, it was time to remove stuff. But back when I first worked on her, I decided to shrink the head with acetone. That did basically nothing. It is nearly the same size as before, but it made the head insanely hard. Even harder than before. And if you ever watched any customization of the huge Monster High dolls, everyone complains about how hard the heads are. Now it was rock solid. Yay! So I took out a candle and an X-Acto knife that I heated up and removed everything by melting it. Because there was no other way. And I needed to get the first part removed to get into the eye sockets with the Dremel tool. So, brutal force and heat it was. Now, my lovelies, please have a little bit of attention for me, because free advice from me to you. If you use a Dremel to sand anything, make sure your coffee mug isn't exactly next to it. In the end, I had some coffee with plastic. Not a great taste. So, I had to throw away all of this coffee, which was a bummer. So, if you send anything with a Dremel, remove your drinks before that. I'm such a wise person. And to everyone's surprise, the next part, which was sculpting some details onto her, went fairly smooth. I puffed out the cheeks and everything, made the whole head a little bit bigger and, thicker, because I needed to sand more, because Poppy's eyes are even bigger. And I decided to buff out the body a little bit, because the boxy girls have a quite normal figure, if you can call something like that normal. But Poppy doesn't have a waist, so I had to remove it. And Poppy is meant to be a kid, I think, so she didn't need breasts, so I had to sculpt over them as well, just to straighten everything out a little bit. Make her more stocky, or however you will call it. And yes, I again didn't use any gloves, because I hate gloves. I need to feel what I am doing, because I do think with gloves you don't have any control. So I know that it isn't a good thing to do this without. So enough of this. I smoothed everything out with a lot of water, and she turned out quite nice. So what is more to say about her? Here. You know. Of course, in the end we need to join the head and the body together. And for that I then took out the Dremel again, drilled a hole into the neck and inserted a screw. But this was the third attempt. The first one was, I tried to make a hinge, something like you see in the regular Monster High dolls and stuff like that, with wire. That failed insanely. That was so bad. After that was removed, I thought, okay, maybe just sculpt on a ball. Then I noticed the head was far too solid to ever get it soft enough to pop it on top of it, so I came up with this idea. The basic idea is, as soon as this is dry, or everything is dried, I put the head on, sculpt a ball of clay on top of it, let this dry, and it should be sturdy enough to keep the head in place. I hope. I pray. We will see. 4 hours later, when this was dry, I then started sanding again. And just to say it, I only showed the Dremel sanding on camera. I then started sanding with sandpaper and sandpaper of different grits to make it as smooth as possible, and still it looks crappy. I give up. Every time I try to add clay, it looks disastrous in the end. Or, yeah, okay, it's not a complete disaster. It's better than the last times I did it, but still. Why can't it be just smooth and pretty and looking like one piece? As it does when Delightful, for example, does things like that. And yes, I know I am not a person who should compare himself with Delightful. Because skills and stuff like that. But still, I want smooth dolls. Is that too much? And I know I can get them when I do more sanding, but it's so much time. Because Poppy is white as a wall. It was the easiest way to use some white spray paint, give her some coats and let them dry for 24 hours. Yeah. We talk about that in a minute. First, the repaint portion was insanely basic, because you only have the black eyebrows, the red lips, the rosy cheeks and the eyes, and that's it. The most difficult thing was getting the eyes right, and what a surprise, getting the cheeks right, because I refused to use MSC at first. What a mistake. But in the end it turned out so everything was as fine as it could get. Until this point. Now, I decided from the start that I wanted to use resin as the cover for everything instead of gloss. Because, let's face it, Poppy is glossy AF. And because of that, I decided to go against my guts and, for the first time in my life, read instructions. I had two different spray paints. One that worked with epoxy clay or epoxy overall, but wasn't able to deal with anything acrylic. The other one didn't like epoxy, so because there wasn't anything that was telling me what happened, I decided to use the one that could deal better with epoxy, because I had epoxy clay underneath and I wanted to add epoxy on top. And yes, maybe it wouldn't work with the acrylic paint that well, but doesn't matter, at least the rest would work. But yeah, why do you even read instructions when in the end it doesn't work at all? Not only was the white quite yellow in the end, the other thing was she needed to dry for 48 hours. Normally, after 24 hours epoxy is fine. At least when I use it. Gosh, that took so damn long, and I was in a hurry, and it stressed me out. But I waited and made the dress off camera because, yeah, you know me and my love for showing on camera, so the dress again was done off camera while she was curing. Yeah. Still, when I started to work on her again, the white of her nose chipped a little bit, and the epoxy wasn't cured enough, so she started to gather some dust. I was so pissed. I am not sure if it really is the fault of the things I used not working with each other, but it is frustrating. Normally curing time, drying time. What is it? Just work as you think it should be. Okay. And sometimes it turns out, sometimes it doesn't. This time I really tried to do everything as it was supposed to be done, and yeah, it was a disaster. At least I think it was. Don't get me wrong, I'm still fine with her. While I was in the process of finishing her, I had a moment where I thought, if Poppy was a real doll that was produced today, my version would be the cheap knockoff. I still think she is fine. She is not as bad as I make her out to be, but it bugs me. Gosh, I tried. I really tried. Just wanted to let you know that. Sometimes I am quite the drama queen, I think. When I finally thought it was cured, I attached the lashes and put in the eyes, and I had to notice the epoxy made the eyes too big. So they are a little bit too deep inside the head, but at this point I couldn't be bothered anymore. So I put them in place with epoxy clay as well, joined the body and the head, and took a deep breath. Then I decided where I wanted the pigtails to be on her head, took out the candle and the X-Acto knife again, cut into holes for the pigtails, because when you look at her hairstyle, you have the bangs that are tucked behind the ear and the pigtails, but they are insanely full, and yeah, doing all of this with the doll wasn't going to work, so I decided to make 2 holes into her head and add the pigtails this way. Then I joined the head and the body again, or the top of the head and the rest of the body. I have the feeling that you as a person, even if I don't know you, already knows how to brush out yarn, so I don't have to show it to you. What I want to show you is that I glued the yarn onto the head, mainly in the hairline region and where the part should be in the end. Why? Because I think all the hair could have been too much. So I mainly focused on the important parts, which were hairline part and the bangs in the front. Obviously, I have never seen bangs in the back. Meh. To have something to insert the hair or the pigtails later, I took a big straw that I had laying around, put it in there, and then draped the hair around it and secured it in place with a ribbon. Gosh, first with some thread, then with some glue, then with the blue ribbon, and with that it turned out halfway decent. There are flaws again, but let's face it, nearly everything I make has some flaws, which is totally fine with me, because I'm, just a human. What a surprise. Enough of that. Then I watched some YouTube and made the pigtails by using the yarn, wrapping some wire around them, and then splitting all the yarn into its single piece strand thingies, which took forever. But when that was done, I finally was able to sew on the bows onto the blue ribbons, put in the pigtails, I glued them as well, and I could help her into her dress. That was the moment when I noticed, screw you. She has a bit of a beard now. Doesn't matter. I'm fine with her. She is done. She turned out quite nice. I do think you can see the inspiration behind it quite well. And when I think about the fact that I started her after I watched the stream on the 20th of October and I finished her on the 26th, I'm fine with her. And also, she was finished at the same day my mother had her birthday, so from now on they can celebrate together. My mom will be forever grateful to me that she now has the same birthday as this version of Poppy. She will be so happy. And with this, the Halloween doll for 2022 is finished. And because of a very weird tradition that is forming here, I had to take one of the weirdest family pictures ever. Enjoy. Don't they look totally cute together? Not at all creepy? Yeah. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we will see us in another. Happy Halloween, everyone. Bye.